"This one's from your father." My mother shoved the brightly colored box at me as if it were a hot potato that she was anxious to be rid of. Not surprising, I guess. Since their divorce, she treated most of Dad's stuff in this manner. You should have seen the yard sale she held the day after he moved out. The shoppers were shocked to be handed expensive parting gifts as they left the brownstone, just for stopping by. Dad was pretty surprised when he came back to collect all his stuff and found out it had all been sold or given away to people who Mom said obviously needed it more. I accepted the gift from her, shaking it gently as I sat back down on Grandma's shag-carpeted living room floor, anxious to figure out what was inside the haphazardly taped together box. Despite being born gift-wrap challenged, Dad always came through with the best presents ever. And he never cheated either, asking what I wanted just before heading to the store like some other clueless grown-ups would do. He just instinctively seemed to know exactly what I'd want before I even know that what even existed. "Open it," urged my younger sister, Emily, from her cross-legged position next to Grandma on the couch. At age 8, she had naturally curly, white blonde hair, and naturally zero patience for anything that didn't directly involve her. In fact, I was pretty surprised she made it this long through the gift-opening portion of my 16th birthday celebration. No doubt Mom had bribed her with the promise of ice cream and chocolate cake for when we were through. For ice cream and chocolate cake, Emily would have sat through a reading of the Constitution, backwards and with debates on each amendment in between. "Come on," Emily shouted, sounding more annoyed this time. "And don't do that thing where you slowly tear off each piece of tape to save the wrapping paper." "Now, Emily, there's nothing wrong with recycling paper," Grandma scolded her. "Wrapping paper just doesn't grow on trees, you know." Actually, I was pretty sure it did. At least indirectly, but there was no need to get in that kind of debate with Grandma. Mom would only get annoyed, and then we would have that talk again about how lucky we were to have Grandma to stay with after we had to sell the house because of the divorce. Oh yes, so very lucky. To satisfy Emily, I made a great show of tearing through the paper, crumpling it into a ball, and throwing it at her. After dodging her return throw, I looked down at my present. I squinted at the box for a moment, and then broke out into a wide smile when I recognized what it was. "Fields of Fantasy," I said, reading the name emblazoned on the box. "All right." My mom groaned. "A video game? He sent you a video game? After all the time and time again that I told him that you needed socks and underwear?" "I have plenty of underwear, Mom," I muttered, turning over the box to read the back. Not to mention that even if I were down to my last pair, I had zero desire for my father to be the one wandering through Vicky's secrets, selecting new ones. I mean, what if he got me, like, a thong or something? I would literally be required to die of embarrassment right there. But still, a video game? Mom scowled. "Well, that just goes to show you your father has never and will never grow up. He's always messing around with those computer games. Now he's recruiting you, I guess." It was about time, too, I thought, but I didn't say. I'd begged Dad to let me play Fields of Fantasy since he got the game himself a year ago, but he kept insisting that I wasn't old enough to join an online gaming community like this. Too many foul-mouthed, inappropriate adult players, he said, and wouldn't relent, even after I informed him that I already heard every swear under the sun in high school. Finally, he promised, after weeks of my whining, that once I turned 16 he'd let me play. But I figured he'd long since forgotten and had no idea to buy me my own copy. What a great birthday present. I noticed a card had fallen from the gift. I tore it open and I read Dad's note. "Dear Maddie, okay, kiddo, I promised you the game, and here it is. Once you create a character, we can play together. This way, even though we don't live in the same house anymore, we can still hang out virtually whenever we want. So go ahead, what are you waiting for? Install the game on your computer and meet me in the Fields of Fantasy. Love, Dad, aka Rockstar Bob." "Wow, that's so cool," I remarked, trying to peel off the sticky tape holding the box closed. "I need to check this out now." Yep, once again, Dad managed to come through with the most original, most rocking present. And what a great idea, to find a way to meet up online. He must have missed me as much as I missed him. "You have 10 minutes, Mom told me. Then it's time for cake. She rose from her seat, signaling that the present opening portion of her evening has ended. Guess she really wasn't trying to trick me when she swore up and down that she hadn't bought me an iPod for my birthday, or signed me up for driver's ed. Doomed to exist another year being the only sophomore alive who was still sporting a practically antique Discman. And there sure wasn't a new car in the driveway either. Don't get me wrong, I wasn't one of those spoiled My Super Sweet 16 kids you saw on MTV. I knew that money was tight, and the last thing I wanted to do was make Mom feel bad for not being able to provide for us. The woman worked 2 jobs just to keep us in clothes and shoes. But at the same time, I couldn't help but be a little resentful. After all, if she hadn't ditched Dad, there would be plenty of money for high-end electronics, not to mention a house we didn't have to share with Grandma, back in my hometown, with my friends. Actually, make that my former friends, as in the ones who didn't even bother to show up for my birthday party. I'd IM both Caitlin and Ashley a week ago to invite them, and they both swore they'd be here. But then about half an hour before the party, they both texted me. Caitlin couldn't get a ride, and Ashley was sick. Yeah, right. How convenient. Especially when I went on Facebook and saw there was a big party at David Silverman's house tonight. Traitors. But, hey, I probably would have ditched my own party for that, so I couldn't really blame them. I just wished they had the guts to tell me the truth. I sighed and scrambled to my feet, stepping over piles of discarded wrapping paper, pink sweaters from Old Navy that I'd never wear, the Barbie from Grandma, who failed to recognize that I was no longer 8, the designer clothes for Barbie from Emily, who was 8 and obviously plotted to steal both doll and wardrobe as soon as my back was turned, and thus make my birthday all about her. After throwing out a generic thank you, I headed upstairs to my bedroom and switched on my computer, slipping the game disc into the CD drive, and started the install. The computer was a divorce gift from Dad, though Mom preferred to refer to it as the bribe, saying that it was way too high-end to simply do homework on. I was glad to have it